Okay, so this is a very humble project that I did since last February. It's a pilot project that I did because I feel like I wanted to try something new. So it is an integration of blended learning and also flipped classroom strategy that I tried with one of my Form 4 class, which is 4SI1. This is an art and humanities class. So what the student did was actually to use their own gadgets to support their English learning in school. So basically throughout the week, I choose 2 periods of English to do this classroom, which is on Friday, 7:40 to 8:40, and the class will shift from their classroom or from SBC to the school library because in my school the internet access is limited, so the students had to move to the school library so that some of them they don't have their own internet data, so they were reluctant to use their own data. So no problem, I said that the Wi-Fi is provided by the school, so that's why they had to shift to the school library. Okay.
Could you explain a little bit about how you got started with this? Because what we find about this practice that you're doing will be really good post MCO as well, because once students have already had children using technology, I'm sure they'd want to be able to do that continuously. So how did you get started? As you can see in the next slide on.
All right. Okay. Actually, to be honest, there was my first class that I had with the students. So I asked them, what is your ambition? So most of the students shared with me that they wanted to become content creators. So I was like, what is that? So, I was like, it's something new to me. So I think that, those kind of very cliche ambition, like I want to be a fireman, I want to be a doctor, it was so outdated. So, since there was many new things that come up throughout this education line, so I think my teaching practices has to start. So that is the reason why I came up with this idea. So to make it legit, so I start with a paperwork. So I wrote everything on that paperwork. So how does it go about, and what are the rules that the students had to be abide on, and then I believe that it has to be done with the cooperation from parents. So that's why after the paperwork has been endorsed by the principal, I wrote a letter to parents informing them what is this program is all about, and also briefing to the students. And after the briefing, we had a contract signing, and in that contract signing, actually, the students have to actually, it's stated clearly in that contract that what they can do and what they cannot do, all right? And, after that contract signing, I had a chance to give a parental briefing to the parents during a ceremony called Majlis Aku Janji. So during that time, I had a Q&A session with the parents and with their children inside that briefing session. So it's a very good chance and session for me, because I had feedback from parents saying that they have problems, and I have know what are the things that I can improve in order to make this program better. So during the program, maybe you can try this. This is something that some of my friends say that is serious, but I think it's a safe thing for me to do. I just want to play safe here. So early in the morning at 7 o'clock, I would be standing at the school gate waiting for my students, and then with a lock bag. So they will place their phone inside that lock bag, and definitely I will tick the attendance of the students who came and who did not. So it is stated in the contract that they have to hand in the phone with me before 7:50 a.m. So after 7:50 a.m., if the phone is not in the lock bag, it is their responsibility. So I had that bag sent to the principal room to be kept there. So during the class, I would go and take that bag and distribute the phones to the students. It is labeled. The phones are labeled. I had to pack them the stickers for their phone and I use it in the classroom. And after that, I keep it back in the lock bag and keep it in the principal room. And after that, at 12 o'clock, because it's Friday, so the students would come and see me to collect their old phone. And after 12 o'clock, it is their responsibility, and they are informed that if it's lost or if something that happened to their phone after 12 o'clock, it is not my responsibility. That is how I stay safe.
Yeah, so that those are real clear guidance, you know, and I like the fact that you know you're there to greet them and get all their gadgets in, because that's one of the worries that teachers actually have.
Yes.
We are just going to show the next slide. I think it is not, it is self-explanatory, which is the apps that you used. If you could just have a look at the next slide. Okay, so the apps that you've used to actually get them to engage, the ones that we are kind of familiar with. If you can just talk us through the planning. If you look at the next slide, which is on the pre-lesson, and then the during, and then just the post-lesson. If you could just explain a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure. Actually, instead of using WhatsApp, I rather use Telegram, because actually when I explore Telegram, there are many features that is there. There are a grammar lesson, there are grammar exercises when you know the specific bot in the Telegram. So I say to my students that you have to install the Telegram, and I will actually teach you how to use the bots in the Telegram to help you with your learning. So we had this Telegram group, and actually I've been starting using Telegram since 2017 with my previous students. So before the lesson started, before Friday, usually on Tuesday or Wednesday, I would introduce the topic that the students are going to discuss on that lesson on this Friday, and I would ask them to do some research. And for certain students who are, you know, they have reported, actually I've kept data on students who have problems with their internet connection at home. So these students actually, what I did was to call them after school and had them given the printed notes so that they could actually do some readings about the topic that I'm going to cover. And then, of course, providing them with the vocabulary, because one of my problems with the students is they have very limited vocabulary. So by using Telegram to actually introduce vocabulary is, I would say that it is very good actually. It works for my students.
Oh, that's great. How about once you know you've set that going? What about during the lesson? You've said that you watch a video, they do some brainstorming. So basically, you incorporated a lot of the strategies that is needed even for a face-to-face session. In this aspect as well.
All right. Actually, this is the most interesting part, because it is not just I'm using one app. It is going to incorporate a lot of apps actually during the class session itself, because usually our class will start with a starter. So I had session starter using Padlet, I had YouTube, and even the Telegram itself to actually gain some feedback from the students. So YouTube is one of the great things, because some of the things that we discuss in class are very, new to the students. So by letting them watching video on YouTube, it's something that can actually open their trigger their thinking. So next is by using Padlet to actually do brainstorming. So when we do writing, we had a lot of brainstorming, and previously before this projecting thing, usually my students would do this kind of brainstorming on mahjong paper, on papers. So by using Padlet, it is something that it's fast, and the presentation is there. everybody can read the slide, and that's the reason why my students love it, Padlet, because you know, they do not have to, you know, be holding up papers. And the best thing about Padlet is you can store the students' work in PDF, and you know, at the end of the day, the PDF form of Padlet is sent through the Telegram. And usually they do individual writing on Padlet, and sometimes I do it on physical books lah, because you know, it is just that I don't want them to lose their touch with writing. So that's the reason why I love Padlet so much, because I can store that, and at the same time I can give feedback, because the next phase is a feedback session.
Okay, so if we look at the post lesson,
Yeah.
you know, once again, you know, we're talking about feedback that is timely. I think that's really important, and we can see how you've done that. But if you could, and we were just looking at the, I am aware of the time. Okay, so if you go to the next one, you've also, the next slide also shows what you're currently working on, and also what are the next projects. So if we can just take some time, I think all of these are really great ideas, you know, not just for now, but also for post MCO. Can I just ask what your reasoning is for using this approach? Why did you choose this blended learning slash flipped classroom? Would be my next question. If we can just go to that slide.
Because I think the reason why is these students are actually digital immigrants. They are born with a technology, and they grew up with technology, and since you know it is new, it is no longer new for them. Actually, it's new for me. And it is sort of started when my students told me that, you know, that as I said previously, they wanted to be content creators, and it's very new to me. So I think my students provided me with new things, and I had to provide them with new things. So by, you know, trying to help them to develop the skills that could be used in the future, that would be really important. Examination is important, but at the same time is the authentic experience that they are going to have in school that will help them in the future. That is more important, I think. And then I believe that everybody has their own gadgets, but maybe they do not know how to use the gadgets appropriately to help them with their education. So I think by doing this flipped classroom plus blended classroom, blended learning practice, it is going to help the students see how can they benefit from technology and also the gadgets to help them to improve academically, not just to play games and entertainment based only. That's the reason why I choose this approach.
Yeah, very good reasons for using this. And I think with the next question is, these are things, the way you have actually engaged your students remotely during this time. So we're just going to have a look at those. I think they are kind of self-explanatory. The next slide. Which is, you know, what most of the teachers are using, which is the Google Classroom, the Padlet, the Google Forms, Hangouts, you know, and things like that. And also the next slide shows that you have an example of what you are working on, and actually getting them to upload their assignments and things like that.
Yes,
am I right?
The best thing and about using teaching them about technology is they are used to it, so it will be no problem for them to use. Previously, when I exposed them on you know, Google Classroom and Google Form and Google Meet before the MCO, they were like, you know, they were like crawling to actually use this. But however, after the MCO, they were experts now, and you know, I use all mediums to actually keep in touch with the students. So and the best thing is, you know, I don't have to teach them anything because they are used to it. So as compared to the students who are not exposed to this online learning, I still had to, you know, as what Puan Shoba said, I had to explain to them how to use this, how to submit the assignment and stuff like that. So I believe that when they are exposed to this, they are used to it, and it's no longer a problem for them in the future.
That's really great learnings that we have got. So just moving on, I think let's look at our next steps, which will be about getting to know these learners that we have. But you know, just in case, you know, just to recap on those people that you haven't had contact with, I think the best people that you could reach out to is probably the PIBGs to make contact with these families and also to go back to basics, because I think we need to remember that we are humans first. So what are their basic needs? Do they need food and things like that? I think, you know, Roshida, I'm sure you'll agree with this. Empathizing with them and then finding out what support would really engage those who are not able to get on this online platform, right? And also, I think if we want to think creatively, I think we should give this opportunity for students to actually collaborate and think of how they're going to be helping those students who are not on these online learning platforms. Yeah. Okay.
And I just want to add something. I think it's very important for the teachers to keep track the records on what they have done and those students who are participating and not. Because with that, you know, you can plan on what you can do post MCO. And this is what I've been doing. I've been keeping records on students and all the planning that I have in mind and I have done. I had jotted everything down, and you know, and I had this module that the activities that I did with my students online, I had also an offline module for them.